Okay, today I'd like to talk about past simple and past continuous. Past simple, for example, did, the past tense of do, but past simple of do, did. Past simple of drive, drove, and past simple of kill, killed. Past continuous for these verbs would be was or were doing. I was doing, he was doing, she was doing, but they were doing, we were doing, you were doing. Okay, same for drove, but was were driving. Was were driving, and same for killed, but was were killing. Now, I want you to understand that past continuous is often, well, it's unfinished moment. What does that mean? We will see. Unfinished moment in the past. Unfinished action in the past. Okay? Past simple is a finished action. Past simple is often a short action. We'll see this in a moment. And past continuous is often a longer action. Well, it must be longer than the other action, and you'll see why. Okay, so if we look at my example here, and we take two verbs, let's take the verb drive here, and let's take the verb kill here. Now, what tense do we use for these two verbs if we're telling a story? We're telling a story where I was in my car, and on the way home from work, in the middle of the process, unfortunately, a cat died because my car went over the cat. And if we think about these two verbs, which one is longer and which one is shorter, which one is finished and which one is unfinished, we should be able to understand what tense we have to use. So, when you were going home, how long does it take to go home when you're driving? Let's say it's got to take, maybe it takes half an hour, maybe 2 hours. It takes quite a long time. And when the cat was killed, you hadn't finished driving. You were still driving your car. You were in the middle of driving, and this is past continuous. It's when you're in the middle of something, in the middle of an action, in the middle of something. So we say, yesterday I was driving home. It's not finished. It's a longer action than the other action. Now, how long does it take to kill a cat? It doesn't take long. This is a short action, and it's finished at the moment of which we're describing anyway. The moment we're describing, the cat is killed. Okay, so looking at these two tenses on a timeline, which is very useful. Can you see that? No, perhaps you can't. Let me rub off some of this material and you will see how this works out on the timeline. Now, past continuous is always longer than past simple. Why? Because on the timeline it looks like this. This is now, and we are telling a story. And we are saying, yesterday I was driving. It's longer than the other moment. Was driving is here, it's underneath, and it's a long action. And in the middle of that action, something else happens, something quick, something short, past simple happens, something finished. I killed a cat. The cat is now dead. It's finished. But the driving wasn't finished. I was in the middle of driving when I killed the cat. So quite often we need this past continuous when we describe moments which are unfinished. There are lots of other times when we want to describe an unfinished action, very often at the start of a story. For example, we say something like this: it was a beautiful day, the sun was shining, the birds were singing. Now, why do we use past continuous for both of those? The sun was shining, the birds were singing. Because the next thing we talk about, let's say the sun was shining, the birds were singing, and I went to see my friend. The next thing we talk about this happens, and at the same time the sun was shining, and the sun didn't stop shining before or after I went to my friends. It was still shining. So it's a long process. It's still on the bottom of this timeline, and past continuous is always longer, and it's always an interrupted process. It's when you're in the middle of something, something else happens. So at the start of the story, we often say the sun was shining, the birds were singing, I was walking somewhere when I had an accident. I fell off my bike. Past simple, finished, finished. Okay? Another example of when we use past continuous is when we talk about a past time. We say something like this. What were you doing? Past continuous. What were you doing at 3:30 yesterday? What were you doing at 3:30? Well, at 3:30, I was reading a book. Okay, at 3:30 I was reading a book. Now again, we can see this on the timeline, and it's very clear. At 3:30 is the moment here. This is our timeline, and I was reading is the unfinished process. I was reading probably before 3:30 and a little bit after 3:30, and that's why we use past continuous. Okay, I hope that's clear. There will be a quiz under the video, a test under the video for anyone who wants to practice after this explanation. If you have any questions, put them under the video and I will answer them like always. Okay, thanks a lot for listening.